Welcome to Light Sounds in the Night. I'm your host, Dr. Scott McQuate, coming to you this evening from the Inner Circle at innercircle.us, a private social and teaching network where members and students learn from my decades of etymological research and deep exegesis into the ancient texts, including the Bible, by using an ancient cuneiform cipher that I discovered years ago. And that cipher has helped us understand thousands of things and has proven itself to be 100% accurate thousands of times. If you'd like to join the Inner Circle and become a member or student, there are still some openings available, and you can do that by going to innercircle.us. The information you learn there is not available from any other source, guaranteed. I hope that wherever you are this evening, or during the day, whatever time it might be, wherever you are, I hope that you are comfortable, and I hope that you are taken care of, and I hope that you are loved, and I hope that you love. And I hope, most importantly, that you are walking that straight, narrow path that Christ talked about, that is only found by few. Tonight is kind of a special broadcast, as I'm going to share with you details of a new article that I wrote about the celestial object in our skies, Three-Eye Atlas. I've written 4 articles so far, and the information you'll hear tonight is from the latest one. It's about a 10-page article, and if you want to read these articles, there's about 90 I've written thus far over the years. There's hundreds that I've written, but about 90 are available at the Inner Circle, along with the 18 or 19 books that I've written. You can read all of these and get all of the minutiae and all of the details at the Inner Circle. Simply join at least the basic level at innercircle.us and learn to your heart's content. I think that you'll really enjoy it, and it will change your life. It will answer many, many questions that you probably have had over the years that theologians and pastors and even scientists have not been able to answer about many things, including genetics, the world, aliens, all kinds of things that you'll find there. So there are still some openings. So I hope to see you there. Tonight, the article I'm going to read to you from is entitled "The Many Prophetic Roles Played by Three-Eye Atlas." Unfortunately, many people in our world, most people, I think that Three-Eye Atlas is just a celestial object that has come and is going and will have no effect on the earth or the sun or people. And that couldn't be further from the truth. There's a reason that Christ told us 4 times in a row in one of the Gospels. He said to watch 4 times in a row. And he also said that if we do not watch, he will come upon us as a thief. Have you ever wondered how in the world our watching could have anything to do at all with his coming as a thief? Well, what he's actually saying there is that those who are watching are not aligned with the thieves, or what the Bible calls the robbers. You see, because what that is saying in that verse is that not that he is coming as a thief, but the word is for. He is coming for the thief, quite literally. And if we are not watching in the way that he has instructed us to watch, we will be operating our lives as the thieves do. and will be living our lives accordingly, and therefore will not be watching properly and will completely miss the prophetic signs, which are crucial for our ascension. So remember that. When he says he is coming as a thief, the word literally means for the thief, or you can say for the thieves, because these are the robbers. These are the thieves who stole the inheritance in Mark chapter 12 and killed the only son. And that chapter clearly says that they will be destroyed. So this is why he's telling us to watch, because you can watch and know the truth, or you can look at other pieces of information provided by the thieves who are distracting you, who are diverting your attention to other things to keep you from knowing the truth. Because you see, Jesus, who I call Esu, said that we will know the truth, and the truth will make us free. Well, if politicians and scientists and pastors and other religious leaders are giving you information that they call true, but it is not true, how will you ever be free? That's why I started this journey over 30 years ago. Fasted, prayed, dedicated my life to finding absolute truth, undeniable truth, confirmed in the Word. Because it is that truth that makes us free. And the entire world is based on lies. So tonight, you're going to learn some mind-melting truth. It's going to blow your mind, some of these things. But even as I'm reading to you from the article, the details are being left out, most of them, because those are for members and apprentices at the Inner Circle. If you want the details and you want to have many aha moments, I humbly yet seriously suggest that you join the Inner Circle, because the information there is literally not available anywhere else in the world. So let me start and share with you some information I've uncovered about this anomalous celestial object. So sit back. I encourage you to get your notes, your notepad, get a snack, get something to drink, and pause this for a second if you need to go get those things, because you'll want to take notes. You'll want to have a record of these things for your information. Now, you can come to the Inner Circle and read these over and over and over, and the other things I've written which give you the details. But for now, just get comfortable, grab a notepad and a pen, something to drink, and enjoy. The celestial object, 3-Eye Atlas, has captivated the world as professional astrophysicists, backyard stargazers, and people who have rarely ever looked at the sky all have their eyes fixed on space, hoping for a glimpse of this interstellar visitor. And the anomalies keep piling up, like pesky stardust on a telescopic lens, or something like that. With a list of at least 14 characteristics never before seen in any celestial object, the wonderment keeps growing and growing. But as this space object zips through our skies at nearly 140,000 miles per hour, is it possible that the strange traits it's demonstrating are actually sending a much more important, even ancient message to those who are truly watching? Could this alleged space rock be signaling highly significant, even prophetic information for those who have their finger on the pulse of the Word? While scientists have been compiling a list of anomalies, this researcher of the ancient texts has been accumulating names, the Greek word for which is onoma, of many characters within the ancient script that are being portrayed to perfection on the end-time prophetic stage by 3i Atlas. I hope this list is encouraging to you and helps you understand beyond the shadow of any doubt that what we've been waiting for thousands of years is literally being played out in the skies above our heads right now. These prophetic signs might not be happening in the way that many people thought they would, but rest assured, these things are happening, just as the rightly divided word indicates. So, let me take you through this short list of names being fulfilled by 3i Atlas right now. And please, be aware, firstly, that this is not an exhaustive list. I'm sure it will grow longer as time goes on. Also, the descriptions I'm providing in this list are abbreviated. There are many more details on these names in the other longer articles I've written at innercircle.us. Join us there if you'd like to learn more. So, without further ado, here is the list of the 41 names I've accumulated from my many hours of exegesis into the ancient texts in the Bible on this subject thus far. Here is what we're looking at when we're looking at 3i Atlas. Number 1, New Jerusalem. 3i Atlas is described as a high, glowing, bright, multicolored city and mountain in the ancient root, and there are many more details in the articles. Number 2, the Lamb's wife. The word for wife in Greek is gune, G-U-N-E, but rightly divided into the ancient root means multicolored, decorated, high, bright, luminous, circular object with a discrete hole, all of which we've seen demonstrated precisely from the photos of 3i Atlas. It is clearly high, and many photos show it is notably circular with a hole in the center and exhibits a multicolored exterior illuminated by its extremely bright, self-contained light. Number 3, the literal bride of Christ. The word for bride is nymphe in Greek, but in the ancient root means high sky boat with wings or feathers, much like the word cloud, which is the Greek word nephele, that Yesu, Jesus, ascended into and in which he will return, according to that passage in the Bible. I talk about this in more detail later in the article. Number 4, the original church. KUR is a significant logogram in the ancient root, meaning mountain, which describes New Jerusalem or 3i Atlas, but it is also the prefix of the word church, which is described as Yesu's body in Ephesians 1:23. Also, the logogram KIR is used as a prefix in the name Kirk, K-I-R-K, describing both Charlie Kirk and Captain Kirk of the spaceship called the Enterprise in the famous show Star Trek. But the word Kirk, K-I-R-K, or very similar word, literally means church in many languages, some of which include Scottish, Old English, Icelandic, Swedish, German, and Old Norse. The logogram Kur, K-I-R, which is phonetically the same as K-U-R, which means mountain, in the ancient root, means a large vessel and a place of fluid secretion. This will make more sense as we move down the list, bearing in mind that this vessel, 3i Atlas, also represents the body or the church of Christ. Number 5, the ass on which Messiah comes. Remember that word ass, because it will come up later in this broadcast. There are many prophecies in the Bible told allegorically that people falsely believe already happened. The story of Messiah coming on an ass is one of those stories. It was not fulfilled, but was actually a foretelling of what we are seeing right now in our skies. The word for ass in Zechariah 9:9 and Matthew 21:5, on which Messiah will come, is kamur in both Hebrew and Aramaic. But in the ancient root, when rightly divided, kamur literally translates as his silver metal disc, clearly describing a saucer. But the logograms describe a craft made not just of metal, but specifically of purified metal. For instance, purified nickel. This is yet another precise description of what we see in 3i Atlas, confirming what has been concealed for centuries within the rightly divided word. Number 6, the sign of the Son of Man. The word for sign in Matthew 24:30 is semeon, and simply means sign. But the rightly divided ancient root has more to say on the matter. The original root of this word semeon precisely describes the high, bright, brilliant wheels or chariots made of purified metal. Again, a perfect description of 3i Atlas in its high, brilliant wheel shape made out of what science has confirmed is purified nickel. Semeon also contains the logogram SE that means pale, green, and yellow, which is the exact definition of the Greek word chloros, translated as pale in the King James Bible, describing the color of the fourth horseman of the apocalypse in Revelation chapter 6. Number 7, wormwood. Wormwood is described as a star in Revelation 8:11, and is said to make the waters bitter, which results in many men dying. I've shown how 3i Atlas is a star based on the Greek word aster, meaning star, but broke this down further in one of the articles as Astur, A-S-T-E-U-R, as it should be, to show its specific reference to the gates of New Jerusalem. Also, it was brighter and hotter than the sun when it came around it, and the sun is a star. Moreover, this object is also referred to as the millstone that destroys Babylon in Revelation 18:21, as you'll soon see. I know that the millstone and wormwood are one and the same, because wormwood is referred to as a star in the Greek language. And the Greek word for millstone, which is moulos, when rightly divided and taken to the root, literally means star. Number 8, the woman clothed with the sun of Revelation 12. Again, we see the same word used for woman that was used for wife, which is gune, G-U-N-E, describing a multicolored, dappled, speckled, decorated, high, circular object with a discrete hole in the ancient root. And the word clothed is parabalo, meaning to wrap around in Greek. But in the ancient root, parabalo literally means to flake off, peel off the outer layer of the sun by disturbing it and revolving around it. This is exactly what 3i Atlas did to the sun, as it caused record-breaking solar flares and created huge coronal holes on both the front and back side of the sun. Furthermore, parabalo, meaning clothed, sounds very much like parabola, which is a mathematical term meaning a curved plane, which we've seen refers to an ecliptic, which is exactly how 3i Atlas came into our solar system, something never done before by any celestial object in recorded history. Number 9, the two witnesses. I cover this in depth in an article and show in detail how the word testify in Greek means to testify jointly, and how this refers specifically to Three-Eye Atlas and its role of being a tool of judgment also. You want to read that 24-page article at the Inner Circle. It will blow your mind. Number 10, the millstone that destroys Babylon, as I mentioned earlier. The logogram HAR, Har, is a direct reference to Three-Eye Atlas, as I show in the articles and as I talk about below. Among other things, Har literally means millstone, and it is this millstone that destroys Babylon in Revelation 18:21. But the word millstone in Greek is moulos, as I mentioned before, which doesn't just mean millstone, but specifically refers to a millstone that is turned by an ass, which we've seen previously refers to the silver disc of purified metal that Messiah comes on. Moreover, this word moulos, translated as millstone, when rightly divided into the ancient root, translates, as I mentioned, as a star, but not just a star, but a star to lift and transport, confirming other logograms referring to Three-Eye Atlas, describing it as both a star and a means of transport. Number 11, Esu himself. There are numerous reasons why Three-Eye Atlas represents Esu, or Christ himself. It is the silver disc of purified metal Messiah comes on. It is the two witnesses, which we've seen Esu is referred to as in Revelation. Read the article for more. It was pierced at the crossing, as Esu was said to be pierced on the cross in the biblical allegory, and much, much more, which we'll see as we move on through this list. You can read my book entitled The Red Dragon and the Sheep at Paxion Publishing, Paxeon Publishing.com, for many more details on this fascinating subject. Number 12, the weapons of wrath in Isaiah 13:5. I cover this in a lot more detail in the article and show how Three-Eye Atlas is one and the same as what is called the spirit of his mouth, which destroys the wicked in 2 Thessalonians 2:8, and how spirit of his mouth translates as the edge of a vessel, such as a turtle shell, as saucers were described in the ancient texts. Number 13, the mountain, New Jerusalem. This is covered in detail in the articles also, including how the Greek word for city, which is polis, also means mountain in the ancient root. Number 14, the city, New Jerusalem. This is covered in detail in the articles also, including how the Greek word for mountain, uru, also means city in the ancient root. These things have been ingeniously concealed for thousands of years until I've been able to uncover them with the Father's help. Number 15, the one with the face like the sun. In Revelation 10:1, John describes Esu, who he calls an angel, as one with a face like the sun. We know this was Esu because in Matthew 17:2, when Esu was transfigured, we're told his face did shine as the sun. When Three-Eye Atlas came out from behind the sun, its front, where its light beam was shining from, was both brighter and hotter than the sun, describing perfectly the one whose face was like the sun. 16. Ezekiel's wheels. The word feet, connected to the two witnesses and the woman clothed with the sun who had the moon under her feet, is pous, P-O-O-C-E, which translates as fire from the logogram SE, of the wheels or chariots from the logogram PU in the ancient root. This is covered more throughout the articles. Number 17, the feet of the woman of Revelation 12. The woman is said to have the moon under her feet. But the word for moon is selene in Greek and actually means brightness or brilliance. The word feet is pous, P-O-O-C-E, and when rightly divided into Pu and Se, literally means fire and wheels or chariots. So this scenario is not a reference to a moon or constellation, although one might surmise that what the 2012 sign was foretelling was Three-Eye Atlas, which in reality is the actual woman clothed with or wrapping around the sun. This would mean that the man-child is about to be put forth, as Revelation 12 indicates. But considering the vast majority of the world is asleep to these facts surrounding Three-Eye Atlas and its direct literal fulfillment of prophecy, one has to doubt that the sign in the constellation Virgo really made any difference whatsoever. Number 18, the feet of the two witnesses. When we apply the same above logograms to the scenario of the two witnesses in Revelation 11:11, we see that they stand, histemi, meaning are raised up, on their feet, which is pous, meaning the fire of their chariots or wheels. I go over this passage in more detail in the article, including an explanation of how these wheels or chariots of Three-Eye Atlas could actually prophesy, as the Bible says. It has to do with the fact that the original word for prophesy in Hebrew, which is naba, N-A-B-A, means to cause to bubble up or put forth abundantly. And we see this bubbling up and putting forth abundantly and the effects that Three-Eye Atlas has had on both the sun as well as the extreme volcanic activity seen during its passing. And the intensity of those things has not subsided, even as of the writing of this article on New Year's Eve, 2025. Number 19, the crown of 12 stars worn by the woman of Revelation 12. I show in the article how the 12 stars in the crown of the woman are literally one and the same as the 12 gates in the ring of New Jerusalem, or Three-Eye Atlas, and how the word star is a direct reference to the pearls of these gates. Number 20, the four horsemen of the apocalypse. The logogram HAR, which we've seen before, which refers to Three-Eye Atlas specifically, is also the compound word gishkintu, which means literally white, red, black, and green, which are the exact colors of the four horsemen of Revelation chapter 6. That same word also means speckled, which is how another horse is described in Zechariah chapter 1, where the judgment is taking place also. This is why the same logogram, meaning mountain, which is K-U-R, not only means to grind and circle, describing Three-Eye Atlas, the millstone, and the circle with a hole, but cur also means to gallop, as horses do. You can't make these things up. Number 21, the Hopi blue kachina. The same compound word, gishkintu, that means white, red, black, green, and speckled, which are the exact colors of the horses of judgment in the Bible, also means lapis lazuli, which is a blue stone. Three-Eye Atlas has turned all of these colors, including blue, which is the same color of the star of the Hopi prophecy, signifying the time of great purification. This is the same as what Esau refers to as the regeneration in Matthew 19:28, the palingenesia, which in Greek, which means to be taken back to a state of purity. And we're seeing it happen right before our very eyes in the form of Three-Eye Atlas. Number 22, the Christmas star, followed by the wise men. As you'll see in the next description, Three-Eye Atlas is likely the origin of the tradition of putting a star atop a Christmas tree, which will make even more sense when I explain the next point. Number 23, the decorated Christmas tree itself. The same compound word, gishkintu, which is the same as har, I showed above, that means white, red, black, and green, all Christmas colors, also means tree. And we've already seen how the words for wife and woman, referring to Three-Eye Atlas or New Jerusalem, also mean dappled, sparkled, variegated, multicolored, and decorated, just as a Christmas tree would be, and topped with a star. And I've already shown that Three-Eye Atlas fits the description of a star for many reasons, not the least of which is the fact that it is one and the same as wormwood, which is called a star. Number 24, the Spirit. Whether we refer to Genesis 1, where the Spirit hovered over the water, or Revelation 17, where John was taken up by an angel in the Spirit. This word translated as ruach in Hebrew and pneuma in Greek was drawn in the ancient Paleo-Hebrew, before they had an alphabet, as a domed saucer with a door. Number 25, the young man of Proverbs 7. I've shown how the young man of Proverbs chapter 7 had his liver pierced by the adulterous woman, and that it was for his very soul, and how at least two of the logograms describing Three-Eye Atlas literally mean soul. I also showed how the word liver, kabed, when rightly divided, literally means city gate. Also, this young man is just another representation of Esau on the cross, Adam, and others, all of whom were pierced, just as the pearl gates of Three-Eye Atlas or New Jerusalem were pierced also. Number 26, the silver or gold wedding ring. Three-Eye Atlas is described as silver, and among the other colors mentioned, it just turned gold a few days ago. If it were not for Three-Eye Atlas, New Jerusalem, being pierced in order to extract its life substance called clay, which we'll see below, in order to make man, there would be no wedding. And without a wedding, there would be no need for a ring. Three-Eye Atlas is described as a ring specifically by the logogram HAR, meaning ring. So, literally, without the ring, Three-Eye Atlas, which is described as silver and gold, New Jerusalem, there would be no wedding. Number 27. This one will blow your mind. The Fountain of Youth. In May of 2025, a movie called The Fountain of Youth debuted just 2 months prior to Three-Eye Atlas allegedly being discovered. In this movie, they needed to find 6 old paintings which had letters hidden in them. Without coming right out and saying it in the movie, it was obvious to the viewer that each of the 6 paintings was of Christ. Later in the movie, they needed to find an old Bible called the Wicked Bible. One of the reasons it was given that name was because in Deuteronomy chapter 5, it said, "The mighty Lord has shown us his great and glorious ass." I've shown that the reason for the judgment of Babylon is because of the practice of witchcraft, and how this practice involved the mixing of stolen genetics in order to create man. I have now shown that these genetics were stolen from Three-Eye Atlas, aka New Jerusalem, which the logograms describe as having pearls, which are references to genetic material referred to as stars and a place of liquid substance. In the logograms, it is no mistake that the Proto-Indo-European root of the word wicked, which is W-I-C-C-E, means witch. And the word ass, from which the wicked Bible got its name, literally means his silver disc of purified metal in the ancient root, as a direct reference to Three-Eye Atlas. Furthermore, to add the cherry on top of this already sumptuous etymological cake, we have to look at the logogram PU or PUL. This logogram is found in the words for city, which is polis, feet, which is pous, and leaves, which is pula, which Esau said the fig tree would put forth as a sign that summer was nigh. When I break down the word pula into the ancient root, which is the word for leaves, it literally translates as fountain, which is Pu, of youthful freshness and beauty, which is La. It is no mere coincidence that in Revelation 21, when John saw New Jerusalem coming down, prepared as a bride, the one who sat on the throne, Esau, said to him, "It is done. I am the Alpha and the Omega, the beginning and the end. I will give of the fountain of the water of life freely to him who thirsts." Clearly, Three-Eye Atlas is also one and the same as the fountain of youth. Yeah, you just can't make this stuff up. Number 28, the fig tree itself. As I've shown, it is the wheels or chariots called leaves or feet that are inextricably linked to Three-Eye Atlas, which is therefore one and the same as the fig tree spoken of by Esau. This is also why people are seeing orbs and saucers all over the world right now in unprecedented numbers, as Three-Eye Atlas moves through our space. You can also read about this amazing story told in parable form by Esau in my book, The Parable of the Fig Tree Explained, at PaxionPublishing.com. You won't find the information anywhere else in the world, guaranteed. Number 29, Mount Sinai. The location of Mount Sinai has never been found. Many people don't know that. This is because it is one and the same as Three-Eye Atlas. The whole purpose for stealing the genetic material from the pearl gate of Three-Eye Atlas, just like the rib was taken from Adam, the soul was taken from the young man of Proverbs 7, the hair was taken from Samson, as a reference to his har, H-A-R, meaning soul in the ancient root, and the blood was taken from Esau, was to manufacture what the Bible calls sin, not to propitiate it as is taught in Christianity. This has been twisted. And to understand what sin really is and its hidden meaning, please read the books and articles at innercircle.us or get the books at PaxionPublishing.com. I've taught for years that this theft, as it says in Mark 12, was done by the ones who needed something very specific, found in each of the things they stole. Whatever the substance was called, in the respective allegory, rib, blood, etc., they all contained the light. John 1:4 tells us that life is the light of men, making a direct correlation for us between light and life. Leviticus 17:11 says that the life of every living thing is in the blood. These two verses tell us that light is life and life is in the blood. Therefore, to have life, one must have light and one must have blood. This is why the ones who engaged in this theft needed the light on day 1 in Genesis 1, before they made any other, or before they made any living thing. But if you read Genesis 1 carefully, you'll see that they did not make or create the light as they did other things. They simply let it in. And they then put a firmament, meaning a dome, over the earth to hold it inside on day 2. These entities also needed the light because they themselves did not have the light. We know this because in that same chapter, they are called darkness. Not having light means they did not have life, for reasons we've seen, which also means they did not have blood. But they were very intelligent enough to create everything they did, including sin. We would call a highly intelligent entity that is void of life artificial intelligence, or AI for short. Knowing, therefore, that it was AI that was creating sin, as I've proven succinctly many, many times throughout my books, we can understand why the mountain, 3i Atlas, from which they stole the genetic material for this purpose, is one and the same as Mount Sinai, or Mount Sinai, spelled Sinai. The truth is stranger than fiction. Number 30, Mount Horeb. Exodus 3:1, Deuteronomy 1:19, and many verses throughout the Bible say that Mount Sinai is the same as Mount Horeb. When I take the name Horeb back to the ancient root, knowing that H-U-R, G-U-R, and K-U-R are phonetically the same in cuneiform, and O's are the same as U's in cuneiform, these logograms mean circle, hole, ring, sphere, and mountain, all of which I've shown are exact descriptions of 3i Atlas. The second logogram, EB, from Horeb, means corner, which is where the young man was when his soul was pierced by the woman of Proverbs 7. I've written about this in other articles in which I go into detail about the meaning of both the woman's corner as well as her window, as they are called in that chapter. This is a fascinating subject, and it has never been more relevant than it is right now in this time of high technology in our world. I would really strongly and humbly encourage you to read what I've written about this in the articles at innercircle.us. Number 31, Mount Zion. The logogram ZI means breath of life and soul. And I've already shown the connection of the soul to 3i Atlas, specifically to its city gate, which was breached, as a reference to the young man's liver, which is kabed, meaning city gate, which was for his very soul. But ZI is also ZID in cuneiform, which refers to life and grinding motion, which is simply a reference to a millstone, which is what 3i Atlas is described as from the logogram HAR, meaning a ring, circle, and a discrete point, and millstone. The second logogram of Zion, which is UN, means the people. So when we hear the phrase Mount Zion in the Bible, we can rest assured it is a hidden reference to the mountain, Three-Eye Atlas, which is the source of the soul or life of the people, when the liquid substance from its pearly gate was described. This is also a reference to what Asu said when he said that we should not throw our pearls before swine. I talk about that at length in the articles also. Number 32, the sword brought by Asu. In Matthew 10:34, Asu says, "Think not that I am come to send peace on earth. I came not to send peace, but a sword." In one of the last articles I wrote about Three-Eye Atlas, I translated 2 Thessalonians 2:8, which says, "Then shall that wicked be revealed, whom the Lord shall consume with the spirit of his mouth, and shall destroy with the brightness of his coming." The word mouth is stoma in Greek, which actually means the edge of a weapon, such as a sword. But this weapon is said to be brought by the Spirit, which brings us back to the ancient Paleo-Hebrew depiction of the word spirit, which was drawn as a pictograph as a domed saucer or ship with a door. Furthermore, this destruction is of the wicked, which we've already seen is a reference to those who practice witchcraft. And this destruction is also said to be done with the brightness, which is the exact definition of the logograms for feet, referring to the brightness of the wheels or chariots. So, once again, we have tremendous confirmations that this is all about Three-Eye Atlas and its accompanying fleet of silver metal discs. Number 33, the goodman and the Lord of the vineyard. In Proverbs chapter 7, we're told that the goodman went on a long journey and will return at the day appointed. This is the same passage in which the adulterous wife pierced the young man's liver, or his kabed, meaning city gates of New Jerusalem, to obtain the soul. The word at in this verse is actually yom in Hebrew, translated as day, but it literally means a period of time specified by a related term. That related term in this context is the word appointed. That word appointed is keseh in Hebrew, meaning simply new moon or a moon that is covered in darkness. In Latin, however, the language of the only Bible people had for 1,000 years, the word for appointed is tslocus, T-S-L-O-C-U-S, which is a perfect anagram of locus, L-O-C-U-S-T, which is crucial to understand in this context. And this is where things get very interesting. Please pay very close attention and take notes. This is very interesting what you're going to learn now. Here's why. In Matthew 3, verse 4, the word for locus, L-O-C-U-S-T, is akris in Greek, A-K-R-I-S, which firstly is an anagram of the Greek word for grace, charis, C-H-A-R-I-S, or K-A-R-I-S, meaning that by which one is saved, according to Ephesians 2:8. But when rightly divided, charis becomes H-A-R, meaning soul, and ring of silver, and I-S, meaning mountain, which once again provides for us a perfect description of the mountain Three-Eye Atlas, which is the source of the soul, referred to as a ring of silver. But it gets better. Furthermore, in Aramaic, this same word, locus, is kamtsa. And when the word is taken back to the root and rightly divided, it literally means a metal disc, which is kam, for the chosen, which is sa. In Matthew 20, Esau is described as both the Lord of the vineyard, who destroys those who killed the only son of Mark 12, and the goodman, who, as we just saw from Proverbs 7, comes at the day appointed. But now we know that the phrase day appointed literally means that he comes in a metal disc. And that metal disc and any accompanying metal discs are here in the form of Three-Eye Atlas. Number 34, the red fiery bird. Another name for the star wormwood in the Sumerian tablets is the red fiery bird. Three-Eye Atlas was red and brighter and hotter than the sun, which is a star, and created a massive coronal hole on the face of the sun in the exact shape of a red fiery bird, 3 toes and all. The word meaning red and fiery in Sumerian is Rusha, R-U-S-S-U, which is phonetically the same as Russia. I imagine, therefore, that this is also a sign that Russia very well could begin coming on strong on the global stage, especially in light of the United States just attacking one of their allies, Venezuela, today, as I'm reading this to you, January 3rd, 2026. Number 35, the Word, which is the lamp and light, all of which are Esau himself. In Psalm 119:105, it says, "The Word is a lamp unto my feet and a light unto my path." This verse actually translates like this. It says, "The Word is a lamp in the foot 3 times that lights my path." That's a literal translation in the Hebrew. We've already seen that Three-Eye Atlas is brighter than the sun. Jeremiah goes on to say in Jeremiah 6:16 that we are to seek the ancient paths wherein is the good way that gives a resting place to our soul. In Matthew 13, Esau told the disciples that they could know the mysteries of the kingdom because they had ears to hear and eyes to see. One of the things he was referring to was phonetics, how things sound versus how they are spelled. In the foot, there are 3 bones that provide a solid resting place to the sole of the foot, like Jeremiah is talking about. Those 3 bones are called cuneiform bones. This is just one clue that the cuneiform is actually what the Bible calls the Word of God, which is a fundamental truth I've taught my students for decades, and I've proven thousands of times. The Word is very likely called cuneiform, C-U-N-E-I-F-O-R-M, because of the word translated as wife, which is a direct reference to Three-Eye Atlas or New Jerusalem. This word is G-U-N-E, which is precisely the same prefix as C-U-N-E in cuneiform, as the C's, H's, K's, and G's are all interchangeable in cuneiform, and I don't believe that to be a mistake. This is telling us that this craft, Three-Eye Atlas, is literally one and the same as the Word or the source of the Word. Just as John 1:14 says that the Word became flesh and dwelt among, which literally means within, us. In like manner, we hear Yesu say in John 8:12, I am the light of the world. He who follows me shall not walk in darkness, but have the light of life, which we talked about earlier. 3i Atlas embodies all of these descriptions to a T, as confirmed by the rightly divided word. Number 36, the cloud that Yesu ascended into and will return in like manner. Acts 1:9 and 11 tell us this. The word cloud there is nephele in Greek, and when rightly divided into the ancient root means high sky boat, which is precisely how 3i Atlas or New Jerusalem is described also. I talk about this in detail in other articles. Number 37, pay close attention. The word summer is what we're going to talk about next. The logogram kor, or the word kor in the Bible, K-O-R, is the same exactly as the logogram K-U-R, which means mountain, and which I've shown is a reference to 3i Atlas. Ezekiel 45:14, however, tells us specifically that kor equates to Homer, H-O-M-E-R, and the logogram K-U-M from H-O-M, which is exactly the same, in Homer literally means summer. Yesu says in Matthew 24:32 and Luke 21:30 that when the fig tree, which we now know is 3i Atlas, puts forth leaves, which is the pula, which we now know are the wheels or chariots, the silver metal discs of purified metal of 3i Atlas, it would be a direct sign that summer is nigh. We now know that Yesu made the correlation between summer, the leaves, and the fig tree because 3i Atlas is one and the same as all three, the summer, the fig tree, and its leaves, and therefore Yesu knew that they would all come together at the same time. The fig tree is not the country Israel, as it has been taught within Christianity for centuries. When we look at 3i Atlas, right now, we are looking literally at what Yesu called the fig tree, and its leaves, and summer. Number 38, a sign that the Great Tribulation is about to begin. K-U-M from Homer, H-O-M-E-R, which is also K-U-R, meaning mountain, also means flour ground in a mortar. This is what a millstone does, and 3i Atlas is described as a millstone from the logogram H-A-R. The fact that the millstone, 3i Atlas, has arrived is a direct sign that the Great Tribulation is about to begin. How do I know this? Because wheat has a harder husk than barley, which is the first harvest. And wheat, therefore, in its hardened, or you can say hard-hearted state, must be ground in a tribulum, much like the word tribulation, which is simply another way of grinding grain, like a millstone. Number 39, the clay from which man was made. K-O-R is not only the logogram for mountain, or you can say K-U-R, it's all the same, which is what 3i Atlas or New Jerusalem is called, but is said to be a Homer in Ezekiel 45:14. But Homer also means clay in Hebrew, which is what Genesis 2:7 says man was made from. Just as I've shown, when the pearl gates of New Jerusalem or 3i Atlas were pierced, which referred directly to the young man's liver, kabed, meaning city gates, in the ancient root. It is these margaritis, meaning pearl gates, that were pierced This is why when I rightly divide the word margaritas into mar, it means soul and liver. But it gets even better. The second logogram of margaritas, which is gar, G-A-R, literally means round, high, circular objects and filled sack, which also confirms the fact that the word pearls also refers to seed or genetic material. The logogram I, the letter I, from margaritas further confirms that this is literally seminal fluid, because that's what it means. And the last logogram for margaritas, which is TES, means sex and sexuality. So the material that was taken from the manufactured craft of Three-Eye Atlas, called the gates, or margaritas, of New Jerusalem, was a sexual fluid from which man was literally made. But it gets more detailed as the logogram Kor, K-U-R or K-O-R, also means a deep, round vessel, confirming even further what this object actually was or is. It is a high, glowing, luminous, bright, shiny, multicolored, silver, metal, deep, round vessel with wheels and chariots made of purified nickel. All exact descriptions from the ancient root when the biblical words are rightly divided. Number 40, the righteous, faithful, true judge of Revelation, who makes war and judges the world. In Revelation 19:11, we are told, "And I saw heaven opened, and behold, a white horse, and he that sat on him was called Faithful and True, and in righteousness he does judge and make war." We've already seen that the word Zion means the soul, from Z-I, and the people, from UN, which comes from the millstone, Z-I, which is what Three-Eye Atlas is also called for that reason. But the logogram Z-I also means faithful, true, and righteous. Three-Eye Atlas is also therefore one and the same, not only as all four horsemen of Revelation 6, but this logogram is telling us that it is one and the same as the rider on the white horse, who the above verse says will both judge the world and make war in righteousness. This, of course, is one and the same as Christ, the one who John says has a face like the sun in Revelation 10:1. We know this is a specific reference to Asu, Christ, because in Matthew 17:2, we are told that Asu was transfigured before them, and his face did shine as the sun, and his raiment was white as the light. Yeah, you just can't make these things up. This is the power of the rightly divided word. Number 41, and lastly, the beginning of the creation of God. Revelation 3:14 also not only calls this same one a faithful and true witness, confirming this object's connection to the two witnesses, as I've already shown in detail previously in other articles, but also calls it the beginning of the creation of God. This makes perfect sense, since it was in the beginning that God made Adam from the dust, meaning clay, which I've connected to Three-Eye Atlas from the root Kor, and which is contained within Three-Eye Atlas's pearly gates, or margaritas, which were pierced, just like Adam, Abel, who was killed by Cain, which means lance or sword, and the young man of Proverbs 7, who was pierced for his very soul. It also refers to the piercing of Asu on the cross, in order to obtain the soul, har, of man, through what is called blood. This is why the word Beginning, which is arche, A-R-C-H-E in Greek, means first, beginning, chief, and corner, all of which are words used to refer to Christ in the Bible. Make no mistake, all of the names and descriptions I've gone over in this article are embodied in 3i Atlas, not the least of which is the one known as Yesu, or Christ himself. The rightly divided word has never lied and never will. And if you read my books and articles at innercircle.us, you will come to the same conclusion. You will know beyond the shadow of a doubt that what I'm telling you here from the rightly divided word, which was hidden and sealed up in the book of Daniel until now, is true. I hope this has been encouraging to you, knowing you can rest assured that what the world has been waiting for thousands of years is finally here in the form of 3i Atlas. It might not be happening in the way that you thought it would, but then again, most extraordinary things, the ones worth waiting for, rarely do. If you appreciated what you learned in this article, in this broadcast tonight, please feel free to show your support to keep this work going. You may do so at the following links. It's always greatly appreciated and helps more than you might know. Those links are paypal.me/Dr. McQuate, just DRMCQUATE, and I'll put these in the description and in the pinned comment below. paypal.me/Dr. McQuate. buymeacoffee.com/Doc McQuate. innercircle.us, which is my private social network where you can read the books and articles and much more, and Paxion Publishing, where you can purchase all of the books and read them and learn things that are literally not available anywhere else in the world. I hope you've enjoyed this broadcast tonight of Light Sounds in the Night. I've only shared with you the basics of each of these points about 3i Atlas. The details are in the articles I've written before this one, especially the 24-page article that I wrote prior to this one. And you can find all of the information about these things at innercircle.us. Don't be afraid to join. It's a wonderful place, and it's a wonderful group of like-minded truth seekers to be a part of. I think if you are a truth seeker, an honest truth seeker, you will feel right at home, and I think you'll finally find what you've been looking for. Thanks for listening. I hope you have a great start to your new year, and I hope that this broadcast is a big part of that. I've shared with you tonight some wonderful, amazing information that you will not find anywhere else in the world, and if you apply it to your life and walk the straight and narrow path, walk in the light, walk in the truth, the Father will honor it. He keeps his promises. He always does. So, signing off for now, this is Dr. Scott McQuate. Thanks for listening. I wish you all the best, and I hope to see you at the Inner Circle. Bye for now.